Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mad's Monday morning, quote unquote, podcast. Well, this is mainly, one of those filler episodes, one of those consistency episodes where it's like, I don't want to not upload, so I'm gonna upload. And we're just gonna see where it takes us. But I did kind of want to talk about not only my own political beliefs and my own sort of politics journey, but like political topics in general. So, how do we want to begin and proceed with that in mind as the premise of our podcast experience tonight? Um, well, I gotta say, it's still frustrating being on YouTube. Not like as a YouTuber and a streamer, but like as a viewer. Like it's just so frustrating, and I have nothing to watch. Most of the time I barely have anything to watch. I find myself just like if there's anything that looks particularly like, oh, I gotta check this out, I'll watch like a Destiny video, I admit, even though Destiny sucks. Um, or like a Vosh video. Like earlier today, I was watching Vosh talking with Paul's ego. Paul from the original Drunken Peasants podcast lineup. Um, and I think that guy is the brother of TJ, the amazing atheist guy, TJ Kirk. I think Paul is that guy's brother, or it could just be like his friend, like his buddy. I really don't remember. Um, but yeah, I watched that or whatever, however much of that I caught by the time I joined into the conversation. And honestly, I gotta say Paul was correct in what he was saying. And like Vosh's whole like the whole political, I might cover that conversation on stream. I might. I told people I was going to stream again last week cuz I streamed last Saturday, like the Saturday before this last one. And then I didn't stream again. So, I got to stream again sometime this week. Um and I might be covering that conversation because it seems like a pertinent opportunity to attack Vosh. Uh, and yeah. Here's the thing, everybody. I don't know if you've caught on to this with our recent broadcasting on this channel the last few months or not, or how like open I've been about this, but like I'm diverging away from the Voshism and the bread tube stuff. I'm like going away from that. I want to be like I said this before. I started streaming and everything heavily inspired by Vosh and ContraPoints. Basically, like the idea for my Twitch streams when it originally began was basically like what if ContraPoints did what Vosh does? And so that was early Madeline 13 content, basically. Like, what if ContraPoints did what Vosh does? Um, and now I'm just kind of, I feel like I've grown past them, and I critique Contra, I critique Vosh, all of my old YouTube, all of my old YouTube idols have kind of disappointed me in recent times. So it's kind of just a matter of like, I need to carve my own niche, and the baby is flying out of the nest. Uh, baby being me, of course. So yeah, I gotta fly out of the nest. I gotta carve my own niche. I gotta do my own thing and be my own person. Madeline 13 is its own thing. It's its own thing. Um, and there's really right now there are no Madeline as streamers. There are no Madeline as streamers. Like even Madeline herself. I don't know if I don't know if I count as a Madeline-ist streamer. I don't know if I would watch me if I wasn't me. I don't know. Like if I wasn't me, but I was the same person, just like a whole different. I don't know if I would watch me. You know, like basically, like there's such a drought of content on YouTube. It seems, and there's not really a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer or anyone in online politics really who like fully like 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 accurately I want to say wellly, but like that's not really that doesn't really make sense. There's not really a person in online politics who like accurately embodies my politics and my political beliefs at this point. They just kind of aren't there. They just kind of aren't around. And if they are, I just haven't found them yet. But like growing up kind of and like when I first really got into YouTube politics and all of that, it was really easy. It was actually really easy and simple because when you grow up in like small conservative like rural America type of regions of the country, um, which do exist in Maine. That's like most of Maine. It's only the east the eastern coastline of Maine that is like snooty and suburbanite and petty bourgeois, like professional managerial class, like coastal elites kind of area, you know. It's really in like southern Maine. Coastal southern Maine is like that, but otherwise like northern Maine is all woodlands, and then like western Maine slash central Maine, which is kind of where my area is located, is all like small town, dumpy, dreary, like industry towns, you know? Old manufacturing towns, you know? Back before the globalized economies that are still sort of clinging on to bare life, you know, clinging on to whatever they can squeeze out of that, you know. So that's where I've been born and raised, and it's just kind of when you grow up in that environment, politics is kind of simple have a if you have any kind of like I don't know how to say it. If you have any sort of like decent inclinations, you know, if you have any kind of inclination that is against the status quo, basically, it's really easy and simple because all of the people around you are so conservative and just so like the traditionalist culture has taken such a hold on the people in the area that it's radical enough just to be a liberal. You know what I mean? Like, in comparison to your surroundings, it's radical enough to just be like pro LGBTQ plus, pro like anti racism. Like it's easy enough to just be progressive and liberal socially, and to just have that basically like what I'm trying to say is, like, when you grow up in these small rural shitty dumpy fucking downtrodden poor conservative areas, um it colors your worldview to the extent where, like, social liberalism becomes like the full extent of radicalism to you. You know, like, it makes you feel like, wow, I'm so edgy. I'm so on the precipice. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so fucking radical just because I have, like, social beliefs that every single liberal believes. You know what I mean? Like, I live in one of those areas that went from Obama to Trump. Like, that'll tell you everything about it. I live in one of those areas that went from Obama to Trump. I live in one of those downwardly mobile white areas, you know? And so, like, it takes a certain amount of, like, personal isolation from everyone around you. Like, how I've been living. Like, I don't know if I've really opened up and talked about my personal life on this. I don't really think I have elaborated on it, but, like, in high school, I barely went to school, to tell you the truth. Like, in high school, I barely showed up to school. And so, like, for years, I've just been very. And obviously, you have COVID for the last, like, year and a few months now. Like, it takes. I feel like, because this is what happened to me. I feel like it takes a certain amount of personal isolation, but online engagement, for you to really realize, like, oh, there's something further radical than just liberalism. You know, there's something more radical than just being a social progressive. You know what I mean? Like, you can actually go beyond that. That's not the end of the horizon. Just being, like, not racist and not homophobic or transphobic, you know? um but that's how it all starts, I think. And then from there, it's just kind of like, okay, let's talk about the economy. And that's really important to me. And, like, foreign policy. That was really, like, those are really the big things for me that I was like, yeah, I think I'm somewhere on the far left, not just the left now. Because, like, my entry point into politics was actually music. Not even Rage Against the Machine. I was never really that big of a Rage Against the Machine fan. It was System of a Down for me that got me into politics. System of a Down. Like, the best year of my life so far, 2016. I was listening to System of a Down constantly. Their biggest record, Toxicity, their second album, I would just play that on repeat, on blast, all through class and as I was walking home. System of a fucking Down, dude. That band is awesome. That band is like theory. Like, you like listening to it is like, damn, like, Serge, the singer, he actually knows what he's talking about, you know? Like, he knows about geopolitics and foreign policy. Um and listening to that music is radicalizing. like they write songs about like marijuana arrests and like the Armenian genocide because the whole band is of Armenian descent. Um, and war, like a lot of anti-war anthems, you know, like that's what BYOB is about, one of their biggest songs. The song is literally about the Iraq war and the lying that the Bush administration did to get us into it. Um, and so, like, I don't know, like, knowing that the American military industrial complex was basically like a force of evil in the world, and having that kind of internationalist germ like implanted in me so early on in my political development has really, I feel like that really went a long way in shaping my politics and making me more radical than just your average liberal. Like, I was always an edgy kind of like anarchic, communistic kind of individual for as long as I, like, you know. And to be fair, I did lose my way, but then I found my way again, you know. And I made a return to my true authentic being after my Jordan Peterson weird, like, social libertarian esoteric fascist phase. I kind of realized, like, I am a fucking radical leftist. How did I get sucked into all this weird intellectual dark web bullshit about, like, rugged individualism and fucking, like, hysterical propagandistic anti-communism? Like, why did I ever fall into that trap? And transphobia, like, why did I ever fall into that trap? And that was right along the time when I realized that I'm a fucking woman. I'm not a fucking man. I'm a fucking woman. Yeah. And then I wrote an album about communism, and I got into communism, and I basically started calling myself a communist to some extent. And I moved to the left. Farther left than I already was. I was already a Bernie person by 2016, you know? But yeah. There's a lot of complicated factors involved. There's many, many, many complicated factors involved in my own personal political development. So I'm still trying to figure out how to, like, narrativize it and piece it together in a coherent but interesting and insightful way for you guys to listen to. I'm still working on that. I really need to, like, do a lot of reflection and figure it all out and really connect with my past self in all those different areas, you know? I really do. But yeah, there's a lot of aspects of my life that are not fully where I want them to be. Like, my relationship with my family isn't where I wish it was, you know? A lot of things, like, nothing is the way that I wish it was right now. To be 100% with everyone here, like, nothing is the way I wish it was right now. But what are you gonna do, I guess, you know? I gotta figure out what to do, that's the thing. But yeah. I want to be my own thing. I want to turn Madeline 13 into its own established thing. I'm chasing that. I want to double my sub count on YouTube. I'm chasing that 500. I'm going after that 500. Have you noticed? Has anyone noticed? Like, I never lose a following. Like, there's never been a time where it's like, oh shit, like 50 people unsubscribed from my YouTube channel. It's never happened. It's only growth. I only grow. It's literally only uphill from here. It's literally only uphill from here. I'm really optimistic about my future on YouTube and all that. But I don't know, like it'd be nice. I'm planning on starting a Patreon or something, like so people who like my content can support it and support me, because like if I could just do the thing of like podcasting and all of that to sustain myself, I will. I fucking will. So maybe I need to be a little bit more dedicated and like forceful and passionate about my work, my personal work that isn't mandated or dictated by any other person or force or arrangement that's outside of myself, you know? My own work. My own fucking work. Because I want to make the content that I would watch, that I'm looking to watch. Because, like, so many things went downhill. And there's just so many, like, I find it really funny how the Young Turks channel and their whole, like, network has just kind of, like, fallen apart over the years. Like, they really have just dispersed, you know? Like, it's just kind of, it's interesting, it's weird. I think it all must, because I think Cenk is the CEO, right? I think it all must somehow reflect on him. Because the organization seems to be an extension of him. And I don't know, like, everybody was making those jokes about, like, TYT's bad hiring decisions. Like, but it's so funny because, like, way back when, like, 2015, you know? I was watching the Young Turks. I was watching the Young Turks daily. Every day I was watching the Young Turks. Back when I was 14 years old in 2015. In 8th grade and freshman year of high school. I was watching the Young Turks, and I was like watching Secular Talk. I was watching Kyle Kulinski. It was Kyle, the Young Turks, and Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore was based back then. And even back then, like, I think it was even earlier than that, like, because here's the thing, guys. I have always been, like, a neat, like, online kid. Like, for years and years and years, I've always been, like, a neat, like, not even really, because I've always been in school, but, like a night owl, kind of like reclusive, introverted, like terminally online kid. Because I distinctly remember it was 2011. 10 years ago now. Holy shit. 2011 was 10 years ago. Holy fuck. That was fucking 10 years ago now. That's insanity. Guys, Did you know that 2011 was 10 years ago? What? What the fuck? 10 years? What? What the hell? That's crazy. Yeah. But yeah, it was 2011. It was 10 years ago. My grandmother, who, like, my cousins have always said, like, I've always been my grandmother's favorite of her grandkids. But my grandmother got me and my older brother laptops. Apple laptops, MacBook Pros, 2011 models. Um, and it was so cool because it wasn't like the MacBooks that they had at our middle school. They were like sleek, like literally kind of like this one, except this one is even newer. This one I'm on that I use to do all this stuff is a 2016 model, I think. Hold on, I can actually check probably, right? No, actually it's a 2019 model. Interesting. Yeah, I got this in 2019 because my parents bought it for me for a laptop to take to school with me. Because my Windows one, yeah, my Windows Acer is a 2016 model. That's the one I used to record the podcasts on too, because the mic wasn't working on here. Thank God that fixed, because now Streamlabs doesn't work on that one. But I'm always dealing with stupid little glitches like that. It's just stupid little technical difficulties and like stupid little like rungs in the road, like little bumps in the road, like little fucking notches in the, you know what I mean? Like it's just annoying. There's so many little annoyances and irritants in my life, but yeah. My grandmother got me and my older brother respectively our own laptops. 2011. MacBook Pros. And ever since then, I've been a hyper online person. And I was 10 in 2011. I was fucking 10 years old. So yeah, I've spent the whole decade being a fucking online weirdo. A terminally online neat freak. And yeah, like I used to play games and do stuff like before I was ever like really using like web browsers and like really surfing the web and really like using the internet proper, you know. It was a lot of gaming and stuff, but because like before that I was still a gamer kid. Like I grew up with a Wii, which was like the best console to have if you were like a kid younger than 10 and like you wanted to play games. Like a Wii was like Pog. You had to have a Wii. Like the original Wii system. Not even like a Wii like whatever it's called, fucking Nintendo Switch or whatever. Not one of those, but like a Wii with the remote and the motion capture. Every all of that stuff. That's what I grew up. That's my console that I was raised by. And then soon after that, like, oh yeah, I also had a PlayStation. I had an original PlayStation from the same grandmother, and a PS2. And I used to play Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the PS2. That was so fun. I probably still could if I figured out how to connect it to my TV. I probably could still play that game. Right now, I could probably figure out how to play that game. I should do that sometime this summer. I should do that. Just play Battlefront 2 for the fun of it. That's one of the best games. I literally will put money on this. The original Battlefront 2 Star Wars game, Star Wars Battlefront 2, the first, like the original one that came out like years ago, like hold on, let's find out. Star Wars Battlefront 2. Like the original. The original one. The one that came out in fucking 2005. That game is so fucking good. That's one of the Star Wars Battlefront 2 Classic Edition 2005 is literally one of the best games that has ever been conceived in the history of the fucking universe. Like, it's literally one of the best video games. It's literally one of the best video games that it has ever or will ever be made. Like, it's just so fucking good. It's literally so fucking good. And you can say what you want about the graphics. It kind of barely matters. Like, it's almost endearing how the game looks. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need to look like a fucking AAA 2020 release, you know? Like, it's great anyways. With all of its flaws, I love it. And that's how you can tell it's true love, you know? With all of its flaws, I love it. I love all of it. With all of its implications, all of its fucking problems and anything you could critique it for, I love it all the more for that. I love it all the more for those things. I just love the game, you know? I love that fucking game. I want to go back and play that. I want to see if I can. I've always, throughout my life, gone back to play that game. On the PlayStation 2. On the PlayStation 2. That game is so good. I remember playing that with a couple of my high school friends. That game was so fucking fun. And those nights playing that game with them was just so fun. It was just so fun. It was just so fucking fun. But yeah. Nostalgia, folks. We live in Mark Fisher's so base. We live in an era of nostalgia, folks. We really do. This century is a century of nostalgia and ghosts. Nostalgia and ghosts. That's what it's all about. Because even this game, 2005, this game is all about nostalgia to begin with. It takes place in like the original 6 movies. The prequels and the originals. It takes place in that kind of Star Wars universe. So yeah, like, but the thing about this specific game is like it holds its own 2 feet. Like, it's its own thing. You know what I mean? Like, it really is its own thing. It's not just nostalgia, but I love that fucking game. It's literally one of the best games. But yeah, anyways, moving on. Soon after that, we didn't continue getting PlayStations. For some reason, we got an Xbox 360 in like 2012. Actually, I don't know. It wasn't as early as 2012. I didn't have an Xbox in middle school, did I? Did I have an Xbox in middle school? Actually, I did. I did, didn't I? I at least had an Xbox by 2014. I distinctly remember. I had an Xbox 360 by 20... I definitely had an Xbox 360 by 2014. When did the Kinect come out? Because we got the Xbox... We got the Xbox 360 like when the Kinect came out. Release date. I think we got it that year. Oh, that came out in 2010? It can't be then. Because I didn't have an Xbox when I was 9. I must have got it in like 2013. I don't know if it was as early as 2012. Because 2012 would be the year I started 6th grade, which would be when I started middle school. I don't know if it was 2012 or 2013, but it was around that time, basically, when we got an Xbox 360. And I know this is diverging from politics. I'm talking about like gaming, but like it's connected because it's connected to technology. I'm giving you like the history of my life in technology. Xbox 360 with a Kinect. After the Wii and the PlayStations 1 and 2. And before that, even like back in those days, before I had my own laptop, before 2011, like especially like 2008 through up to 2010 and 11, I was a Wizard 101 player. I've played that game on stream before. I played that game on stream in the wintertime. I made some content out of that. But yeah, like, I was a Wizard 101 player. I got as far as Celestia. And I literally remember when that came out, too. That was like the first time they expanded the game. They added a whole new planet called Celestia, which was like, it was just so cool. And I remember there was it was like an underwater world. Like that's still my favorite world in Wizard 101. That whole universe is Celestia. Celestia is the coolest area in that whole fucking game. Where you go from level 50 to 60. That's the best area of the game. And I made it all the way to level 60. I beat the whole world. Which means I made it to Azteca. Yeah, I made it to Azteca before I stopped playing. So I have a legendary sorcerer, a legendary balance wizard character that I still have. It's under my dead name, but I still have that account. I could literally boot that up right now and play on it. And I was playing a little bit of that more. It's still a fun game to me. It still holds up somehow. I like MMOs. I like massively multiplayer online games where it's like you have a character that you create at the beginning of the game and a bunch of other players, like literally thousands of other people on the same servers, and it's like an RPG basically. It's like a role-playing game. I love MMOs and RPGs. That's my shit. That's my fucking gaming shit. MMOs and RPGs. So like I remember I played Dragon Age Origins on my Xbox 360. Games like that, like Skyrim, games like Skyrim. And I play ESO, I play Elder Scrolls Online on my Xbox One that I have now too. I have my own Xbox One. Based. And the Xbox 360 is right down there. I could probably find out how to boot that up as well. But games like Skyrim, games like Wizard 101 and Dragon Age and Elder Scrolls Online and World of Warcraft was one of my favorite games of all time as well. Shit like that is my shit. Like that is, if I'm gonna play a game, I'm gonna play a game like that, you know? But yeah, although this is taking a while, I'm talking about gaming. But yeah, I'll just switch gears now. Fucking back more into detail about So yeah, my own laptop in 2011 when I was 10. There's this website called Sketchfoo that I think I've talked about on the channel before. I've talked about it at some point somewhere. That's defunct now because the dreaded, horrid mods, who weren't even the people who founded the website, by the way, um, fucking took over and became so authoritarian. Like, that website was the pinnacle of, like, it was literally 1984. Like, it was a dystopia. They would ban you for no reason. They would ban you for nothing. They would literally ban you for nothing. And, like, it used to be so open. Like, I remember the website was created by two college best friends. Programmed this website. And it was literally the simplest version of the site. It was just an online sketch pad. And people would buy little, like, trackpad type, like, little pads you can draw on electronically and, like, plug it into your computer to draw, like, masterpieces on this digital landscape. And it was so cool to, like, see, like, all the cool shit people could do with it. And I just, like, doodled around and had fun and made my own thing, you know? Did my own thing on there. Because I've always been artistically inclined. And, like, attracted and very heavily affected by art and artistic pursuits and things like that. Very, very dramatically impacted by artistic things and creative things. I'm such a creative person, as you can probably already tell. I'm like all the way on that side of the spectrum. Creativity, chaos, fucking abstract thinking, that kind of thing, you know? Which is why I think that's all of that is. It goes into why I'm so obsessed with philosophy and theory now. Like, that's now like the present main love of my life, you know. Um, as far as things and not people go, you know. But um, yeah, I I was on Sketchfoo for so long until the mods took over the site and the founders like abandoned it to their despotic power. There were four of them, four mods. And what used to happen when the website was super open and things like that was like you could create little groups and things like that and literally design little text role playing games, you know? But then what happened was the mods came and set up rules that would ban you for RPing. They would ban you for roleplay. They would ban you for playing games and like talking to people about anything that was unrelated to just strictly like sketches and art. So Sketchfoo kind of declined because it was a community website that just developed organically as it was programmed. And then the mods, these social authoritarians, come in and they're all like cracking down on the organic community and they just totally destroyed what we built for ourselves on there. It was like that is one of the to me that's one of the great tragedies of the internet is what happened to Sketchfoo. And I would literally make friends on there as a 10-year-old. Like kids my age who are also on there and just messaging. I remember there was one named Marissa. I think her name was Marissa. And we were like such close friends. We would look at everything each other did and message each other and stuff. And then like I think she got banned before I ever got banned. And I don't think I ever got banned from Sketchfoo. I think I laid my head. I literally like my head was so under the radar and down and like I was so invisible and imperceptible and like unnoticeable that I just never got banned. They never noticed me breaking the rules. And I just didn't really fuck with them that much. So I just stayed safe basically. I stayed undercover. I stayed incognito. And then I just stopped using the website and then apparently like it shut down. Shortly after that, it shut down. And I found that out because like a few years later, I tried to find it again and it was just gone. Like the mods like they literally banned everyone off the platform. Basically like they literally killed their whole community for the most part and then literally nuked the site. They literally deactivated the domain. They literally destroyed the website. So yeah, I hope I never meet whoever the hell those four people were. Like, I just hope I never come across them because it was just so like, it's just so crazy. It's like, it was just such a collective neurosis that was running that site, you know? Like, it was just so horrible. How they would treat people on there was just so horrible. But and I never understood why it got that crazy. Like, why did it get that crazy? Where all these activities that people love to use your website for, you ban them for doing them. Like, what? I never understood what happened to make it like that. And it was literally like it was like one of those dystopian discords where it's like if you argue with a mod, you're banned. Um so literally like people who would just I literally witnessed this. I literally remember this. Like I have a really sharp memory. Like I literally remember this. Um there would literally be people like, "Hey, you banned my friend and I just I don't think you like I don't understand why you banned them. I don't think you banned them for any good reason. Can you unban my friend?" You know, like making ban appeals on behalf of their friends. And they would just ban people for that. They would argue with them infinitely ad infinitum. There would be these long argument threads of comments on like word posts, you know? And then they would just ban those people just for inquiring and making ban appeals basically. And they never gave any explanations for their rules. Like there was never an explanation for the rule that wasn't like bureaucracy speak, you know what I mean? Like there was never a legitimate reason given for anything they did that wasn't just like, "Oh, we need to keep the community safe" or something. You know what I mean? Like safe from what? Like I never got it. Cuz it was really just a community for literal children to draw. Like that's what the website was. Like we were just kids drawing and talking to each other and like playing games through text, you know? And then they just destroyed their own community. They just completely destroyed it. I don't I to this day what happened there, I really can't tell you. I really can't tell you. I don't know what happened. I don't know what went down. I really don't know why it happened that way. But yeah. So that was my like online origin. But then like basically my entryway to politics was atheism because by 2012 and 2013 I fully realized that like I don't believe in any higher power, you know? Like I fully came to the realization of like cuz I grew up going to a Catholic school and a Catholic church. And then we stopped going and I started being homeschooled for 4th and 5th grade. I've talked about that already. I think I have on this channel. And so like my entry point into political, like any kind of broader big social idea was literally just atheism. And I started out as a really radical, kind of cringe atheist. Like one of those redditor people, you know what I mean? Like that was the main issue that was so important to me at the time when I was when I was 12, which which says a lot about those people now, I guess. But like everything stemmed from there, from my firm belief that there was no God, you know? Everything's for me politically, everything started from the premise that there was no God. So naturally, I sh- I drifted into, and back then too, I was very much like a vulgar physicalist. Like I was very like materialist and scientific and empirical in my worldview. I was very like, I considered myself incredibly logical. I was very much like a logic and reason nerd, which is why those Dave Rubin fucking people appealed to me back when I was like 16. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was such a fucking nerd when I was 12 years old. Like honestly, I was such a fucking nerd when I was 12 years old. I was such a nerd. I was literally like the peak of a fucking nerd. I was so nerdy. I was like I was just such a fucking nerd and just so like insufferably like intellectually arrogant. Like that was the person I was. That was the and that's how all of this started. Like you have to understand, it's kind of weird to think of that, isn't it? Like I'm such a different person than that now. I don't think anyone sees me in that way now, but that's really how it started. I was just a fucking nerd. I was a logic bro. I was a logic nerd. I was a Reddit atheist, anti-theist, and I was like, because I literally believed that like religion was like the root of all evil, basically. And I was like a hard line like empirical scientific realist. Like that's that's literally what I was. Like I was the biggest nerd in the fucking world. I was the biggest fucking nerd on the planet. Literally the literally the biggest nerd on the fucking planet. And the only thing, like the only way I've drifted away from that kind of perspective is just with more philosophy. It's literally just with more philosophy and social theory that I've shifted my worldview away from this vulgar physicalist scientific empirical worldview, you know? Like this like, oh, if I can't see it or sense it, then it's not real kind of stupid like cringy Anglo worldview, you know? It took continental philosophy and queer theory and all that to drag me into basehood, you know? The person you see before you now. But that's really how it began. I was a fucking atheist. Um like a very anti-Christian atheist, you know? And I still am an atheist. I've discovered that I'm more agnostic on specific problems, like the problem of the afterlife. I'm totally agnostic about it. Maybe like because my premise is basically like nobody literally the only way you could know what happens after you die is if somebody came back and told you. And because of the fact that that's literally never fucking happened ever, we don't know. So it could be the case that like there's some life beyond this one. But my one stipulation on this agnostic belief is that it definitely isn't anything that any religion has ever thought of. Because I think it would have to, like, if there is an afterlife, it has to be something that we as humans literally are incapable of imagining. Like, it has to be something beyond our senses and beyond what our minds are capable of conceiving of. Because my premise is basically that, like, we would cease to be human beings and we would become something else, which means that we will have new senses, which means that we will basically have a new world, a whole new world. You know what I mean? Like, because, like, dogs don't experience the world like humans do. Fucking insects don't experience the world like humans do. Dolphins don't experience the world that humans do. Only humans experience this world that humans do. So I think when humans die, if there's anything after that, we have to become something else, which means that we will enter a new world. And what that basically means is that we literally, as human beings, because we're human beings, we're incapable of imagining what that will be like. We literally can't. We just can't conceive of it. We like, it's beyond the limits of our imagination. It's literally beyond the limits of our experience. You know, if it exists at all, and if it's not that, then there's nothing. That's my premise. That's my belief system on that. That's my agnosticism about the afterlife. Um, because in every issue like that I'm agnostic about, it comes with the stipulation that every already existing religion is wrong. Because they have to be. Because, like, I don't buy into any of them. So it's like, it's not that I'm an agnostic in the sense that I leave the door open in this cringy, like, Pascal's wager type of situation where I just, like, where I say, like, oh, maybe you're right. It's like, no, all of you are wrong. It's just that some of the existential problems that your religions deal with, the answer might not be atheism either. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Because, like, I've always had, my whole life, I've always had, like, a unique perspective. Like, I feel like I have thoughts that no one else in my life has. So it's like, I always go through life, like, saying things and, like, expressing certain ideas that it seems like the people around me were just never equipped to really be able to deal with on, like, an actual basis, you know? Like, if I tried to explain that to some of my old friends, they wouldn't even be paying attention. You know what I mean? It's just kind of cringe. Like, oh, all sorts of those people. It's just so cringe. But yeah, this is probably one of many podcasts where I kind of just drone off and talk about a bunch of random shit. Um, that has to do with me personally. But I want to do one soon that is literally like an in-depth, like I might even have to write stuff down for it. But that is literally like an in-depth exploration of my political evolution. My, like, political philosophical, like, my thought evolution basically. Cuz I think it's interesting, but I'm really going to have to do all that introspection and, like, reflection and, like, figuring out exactly what it is, you know? Exactly what has happened. But other than that, this is kind of it for this week. So, that episode will be coming at some point. Um, once I figure it all out, you know? And yeah, the funny part is, like, for all of this time, like, ever since, like, 2013, I want to say. Because, like, yeah, like, I used to think that my life basically began in the year 2015, but, like, earlier than that, I was doing things that I would like, the start of everything really, I think would have to be 2010. I think. I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah. Obviously, like my life began when I was born, but like a point in development where I began thinking in a serious way, you know what I mean? And like having like real like deep feelings about life, you know? That's kind of what I mean. I think I have the tendency of putting the starting place in 2015 because like so much important big like emotionally effective stuff happened to me in my life in that year. But really like before that, like I was already like trying to be a YouTuber of some capacity and like hanging out with like people and things. I was already doing all that in like 2012, like, you know. So, yeah. It seems like things have gone really fast. Like it seems like I go really fast, but my surroundings go super slow, you know? Like I've always felt just like a fireball that's just like raging forward at incredible speeds, but I get like watered down and like slowed down by like the winds of all of my surroundings basically, you know? It's just kind of cringe. Yeah. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this kind of crazy haphazard installment, and I'll see you next week.